I did not even flinch when the call came through. There was something off about the whole night, like the air had shifted and I just had not caught up with it yet. You know that eerie stillness before a thunderstorm cracks open the sky? That's the best way I can describe it. Just sitting there in the living room, a dull glow from the TV flickering across the walls. The dogs asleep by the sliding glass door, and her upstairs supposedly sleeping. Jessica had gone to bed early, said she had a long day and was exhausted. She did not kiss me goodnight. Did not even look at me when she mumbled something about being drained. But that was not new anymore. Lately, she had this weird aura about her. Like she was always 10 seconds away from snapping. Not irritated, not upset, no worse. Indifferent. The kind of emotional distance that felt more violent than a fight. She'd stare past me. Like I was a piece of furniture she'd grown tired of seeing in the same corner of the house every day. The same blank stare, the same cold hands. We had not been intimate in months. Every time I reached for her, she'd twist away under the guise of sleep or stress or hormones or whatever she felt like blaming that day. And the worst part, I started believing I was the problem. I'd been pacing a lot recently, catching myself zoning out mid-sentence, forgetting why I walked into rooms. Just not there. But that night changed everything in 3 minutes and 41 seconds. My phone buzzed on the armrest. Her name lit up the screen, Jessica smartwatch. I remember staring at it. Confused. Why would her watch be calling me? I did not even know that was something it could do. But I picked up static, then breathing, then a man's south voice muffled but close. And then her, my wife. She was not talking. Not really. She was whispering something. Breathy, slurred, like she was drunk on adrenaline. There was a rhythm to the movement, the sounds. I felt my stomach churn before I even consciously admitted what I was hearing. She was in bed, but not alone. Not asleep. And not just betraying me, mocking me. He called her Jess, said something about how he's probably downstairs watching sports like a good little idiot. I wish I was making that lineup. But it's carved into my skull. She laughed when he said it. Laughed. That sound gutted me. That was not just a laugh. That was a free laugh. A woman who had taken off her mask and stopped pretending. I stood up slowly, still holding the phone to my ear like it had turned into a live wire. The beer bottle slipped from my hand and hit the carpet with a dull thud. The dogs did not even move. I walked to the bottom of the stairs, heart pounding like it wanted to escape my chest, and looked up into the dark hallway. Her voice was still in my ear, barely audible now, but I did not need more proof. I'd heard everything. I was supposed to be her husband. I paid for the damn smartwatch. I remembered standing in that Apple store 2 Christmases ago, letting her pick the color. Midnight aluminum or silver. I joked, whatever goes best with Betrayal, I should have said. I ended the call. I did not go up there. Not that night. I sat on the bottom step for 2 hours, staring into the dark like I was waiting for something. Maybe courage, maybe numbness. What I got instead was clarity. I was never going to unhear that. I was never going to unsee the way her face looked when she talked to me that day, hours before it happened. Like I was a boring task on her to-do list. Like she was counting down the hours until he'd show up. I did not cry. I did not scream. I sat with it, let it simmer, let it harden inside me. And by the time the sun came up, I was not the same man who had kissed her forehead that morning before work. She just did not know it yet. Morning came like a slap to the face. I did not sleep. I just sat there at the bottom of the stairs all night, stiff as hell, heart thudding in waves, waiting for her to wake up and stumble down like nothing had happened. Like she had not detonated our entire marriage while wearing the watch I bought her. She came down around 7:30 am barefoot, yawning, wrapped in that worn gray hoodie she always wears when she wants to look innocent. Hood up, sleeves over her hands. Like she's some teenager who got out of bed for pancakes and cartoons. No makeup, puffy eyes. She even rubbed them like she was sleepy. I watched her the whole time. Silent. Still, the dogs ran to her. She greeted them like she was the perfect little wife just starting her day. Then she looked at me. Morning, she said, walking past me toward the kitchen like we had not just crossed the point of no return. I waited. Nothing in her tone. No guilt. No tension. She did not even glance at me twice. I followed her slowly into the kitchen, watched her open the fridge like we were planning Sunday brunch. You sleep okay? She asked, grabbing the oat milk like nothing was wrong. That was it. Cleared my throat. My voice came out low tight. Who was he? She froze. 1 second. 2 seconds. Her hand stayed inside the fridge. Then she closed it slowly and turned to face me. Her face a mask of confusion. No worse performance. She tilted her head. Furrowed her brow. What are you talking about? The guy from last night, I said, watching her. The one who was with you. The one I heard. You know, after your smartwatch called me, the blood drained from her face in real time. She blinked like her brain was buffering. Then she started laughing. Actually laughing. You're kidding, she said, shaking her head like I was the crazy one. You're joking, right? You think I was with someone last night here? Are you high? No, I said flatly. But I think you were. And I think you're lying to my face right now. Her eyes changed. That little sparkle of guilt that tried to hide behind fake confusion. Gone. Replaced by something colder. Defensive. Elegant. I think you're losing it, she snapped. Are you spying on me now? Paranoid much? Maybe if you did not sit around sulking all the time, you would not feel the need to make up fairy tales about your own wife. Do not gaslight me, Jess, I said. I pulled out my phone. I have the call log. I have the recording. I heard everything. Silence. You ever see someone realize they've just been cornered and instead of admitting it, they double down like it's a poker hand they think they can bluff their way out of? She did not even flinch. So what if someone called? She said, crossing her arms. That does not mean anything. You probably heard some stupid video or something. You're literally obsessing over nothing. 3 minutes and 41 seconds. I said. That's how long I sat there listening to you and him whispering, laughing, calling me an idiot in our house. And then she said the thing that snapped something inside me. Maybe if you were not so boring, I would not need to talk to anyone else. Just like that. Delivered with a shrug. Like she was ordering coffee. I stared at her. My mind went blank. My whole chest locked up. This was not some tearful confession. This was not a mistake. She meant it. And worse, she wanted me to hear it. Wanted to hurt me. Break something in me. You disgust me, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. She rolled her eyes. Please, she said, turning away. Like you've been some amazing husband lately. You've been moping around. Acting like a victim. Clinging to routine like it's love. I needed to feel something again. He makes me feel alive. You make me feel nothing. That was it. No apology. No remorse. Just open scorn. I stood there for a moment longer, staring at the back of her as she made herself coffee. Like this was not the most insane morning of my life. Like she did not just blow a hole straight through the center of our marriage and tell me I handed her the match. I did not scream. I did not throw anything. I did not cry. I walked out the front door. Did not say a word. Did not look back. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely unlock the car. But as I sat behind the wheel, gripping it like it was the only solid thing left in my world, one thought burned through all the noise. She was never going to stop. She was not sorry. She did not think she did anything wrong. And she sure as hell was not done. I did not go to work that day. Did not call in either. Just drove. No music. No destination. No idea where I was going. I passed gas stations, playgrounds, convenience stores, families and minivans. The whole world kept spinning like nothing had happened. But for me, time had stalled. Like someone had cracked open my chest and ripped out the clock. I parked eventually in some empty lot outside a shuttered diner 2 towns over. Still gripping the steering wheel like it could answer for what I'd heard. I replayed every second of that call in my head. Every breath. Every word. Yuri's so much better when he's not around. He's probably watching ESPN like a good little idiot. Her laugh. His voice. The audacity. But more than the betrayal itself, it was her reaction that wrecked me. Not a flicker of guilt. Not even a moment where her mask slipped and I saw fear or shame or anything. Instead, she threw it back at me like it was my fault. Like I deserved it for being predictable. For not being some chaotic thrill she could chase around like a teenager in heat. I should have expected it. The signs were there. Like last month when she forgot our anniversary dinner. Did not even apologize. Just blamed her crazy work schedule. Then went out drinking with her so-called friends 2 nights later. Leaving me alone at the table with the reservation. Or the random overnight trip to visit her sister that turned out to be a lie. I found out her sister was out of town that same weekend. Posting selfies from Colorado while my wife was supposedly staying at her place in Ohio. It was always almost suspicious but never enough to confront. And she knew it. She thrived in that gray area, just innocent enough to keep me second-guessing. Just cruel enough to keep herself entertained. And now it was not gray anymore. It was black and white. Audio evidence. A confession disguised as contempt. I scrolled through my phone, trembling, and found the recording still saved in my voicemail history. I could not bring myself to listen to it again. My thumb hovered over the play button. My face burned with rage and shame. I hit record on a new voice memo and started speaking. Not for her. For me. Jessica. I know everything. The call from your watch last night. Yeah, I heard it. Heard him. Heard you. Heard what you think of me. I gave you everything. I worked late, fixed your car, paid off your credit cards, bought your stupid smartwatch, and you thanked me by letting some random loser into our home like I was a janitor you could step over. You laughed at me. In our bed. You told him I was boring. You made me hate myself for months like I was not doing enough was not being enough. But the truth is it was never about me. It was about the fact that nothing will ever satisfy you because you're a coward who needs to feel desired even if it means torching everything good around you. Well, congrats. You did it. You burned it down. And now I'm done. I saved the file. Not sure why. Maybe I needed to hear myself say it. Maybe I needed proof that I knew what she was. When I finally went home later that evening, the house was quiet. She was on the couch scrolling her phone pretending nothing happened. She did not even look up. You disappeared, she said flatly. I stood there for a long second watching her, amazed by how easily she could lie with her whole body. I needed space, I said. Time to think. She finally met my eyes. No softness. Just calculation. You're not really going to blow this up over a stupid misunderstanding, right? My chest tightened. Jessica, I said, voice steady. It's not a misunderstanding if I heard you say I make you feel nothing. That hit her just for a second. Her lips tightened, her thumb paused over her screen. But then she shrugged. Fine. If you want to play the victim, go ahead. But I'm not apologizing for being unfulfilled. Unfulfilled. That word felt like a slap. I looked around at the life we built, the framed wedding photo on the wall, the couch we picked out together, the dog leash hanging by the door, and I realized none of it mattered to her. It was all just a set piece. A backdrop for whatever performance she was running. And I was just an extra. The husband prop. A placeholder until something more exciting walked in. That night I slept in the guest room. If you can call it sleep. She did not check on me. Did not text. Did not knock. Because in her mind this was not over. Not really. She thought she could win this. She did not understand. I was not planning to fight. I was planning to leave. The next morning was colder than it should have been inside the house, I mean. Not the weather. There was the stillness, This creeping chill that did not come from a broken heater, but from the absence of something else. Whatever string had tied us together, it had snapped. Quietly. No dramatic explosion. Just a clean break. And yet she still walked around like nothing had happened. She did not ask if I slept well. Did not ask where I was last night. Did not offer any explanation, apology, confession, nothing. Just poured her cereal like she was gearing up for another Tuesday. But me? I was different. Something had shifted in me overnight. I got up early, earlier than usual, and started packing some of my stuff into boxes. I did not slam drawers or make a scene. I did it quietly. Intentionally. One sweater at a time. Pulled my documents out of the filing cabinet. My chargers from the nightstand. The cufflinks my father gave me from the bottom drawer I had not touched in a year. At one point, she walked in on me while I was folding a shirt. She stood in the doorway, leaning against it like this was awesome show I was putting on for sympathy. "What is this?" she asked, her voice so calm it bordered on smug. "I'm leaving," I said. Silence. She crossed her arms. "Seriously?" I turned to her. "You thought I was going to stay?" She smirked. Smirked. You read being dramatic. That was it. That one line lit a fuse in me I did not know was still there. I stepped forward, not yelling, not losing control, just speaking with the kind of calm fury that fills a room faster than a scream ever could. "You slept with another man in our house. You laughed about it. You called me boring. You did not flinch when I told you I heard everything. You did not apologize. You did not deny it. You stood there, made your coffee, and told me you needed to feel alive. And now that I'm packing my things, I'm being dramatic." She did not respond right away. Her jaw clenched, her foot tapped once against the hardwood. And then she said something I was not prepared for. Not because it hurt, but because it exposed how truly rotten she'd become inside. "You're going to throw this all away because I needed something you could not give." That line. That line will haunt me for years, not because of what it meant, but because of how honestly she believed it. "Jessica," I said, staring at her, "you did not cheat because I was not enough. You cheated because you were empty. And no matter how much attention you get, no matter how many people you entertain or how many secrets you keep, that hole in you is not going to be filled by lies and lust and deception. It'll swallow everything around you until you're alone with it. And maybe that's what you deserve." She scoffed and turned away like I was a bad actor in a low-budget drama. "God," she muttered. "You sound like AF antitherapist now." I did not take the bait. I did not argue. I did not throw anything or call her names. I just picked up the box, walked past her, and placed it by the front door. I called my friend Luke, told him I needed a place to crash for a few days. No questions. He just said, "I got you." I could barely look at him when I showed up at his place later that day. Like I'd failed at something fundamental. He did not press. He just handed me a beer, turned on the game, and let the silence sit. That night, I lay on the couch in his apartment and stared at the ceiling for what felt like hours. Everything felt fake. The idea of our life together, the memories, the plans. It was all part of a script she'd been rewriting behind my back. How long had she been playing the part of a wife while living a double life? How many lies had I swallowed without even tasting them? And then came the texts. First, it was cold. "You really just going to run away? So you the victim now? Grow up." Then she pivoted. "Can we just talk about this like adults? I made a mistake, but you overreacting." And finally the classic. "I miss you. Please come home." Home. She called it home like it still meant something. I did not reply. Could not. If I did, she twisted into another performance. Another game, because that's what this was to her. Not a marriage, not a betrayal. A game. And she hated losing. But this time, she already had 3 days past. 3 days of silence on my end. No texts. No calls. Not even a read receipt. She tried everything. Rapid-fire messages. Missed calls at 2 a.m. Half-baked apologies followed by snarky jabs. Followed by guilt-tripping paragraphs about how I was blowing up our life over something small. Her definition of small being letting another man crawl into the space we used to call sacred and then mocking me for it. I did not budge. Luke's couch was not comfortable, but it was better than lying next to someone whose love came with expiration dates and exit strategies. I spent most of my time outside walking, sitting in the park, thinking, just breathing, processing. The quiet hurt more than I thought it would. Not because I missed her. No, I missed what I thought she was. That version of her, she did not exist. Probably never did. On day 4, she upped the ante. I got home from a walk to find her car parked outside Luke's building. She was sitting in the front seat, wearing sunglasses, even though it was cloudy, tapping her fingers on the steering wheel. I did not even get near her. Just turned right back around. But she saw me, jumped out and started walking fast. Like she was trying to corner me before I disappeared again. "Tyler," she shouted, "we need to talk." I stopped only because I did not want her making a scene on Luke's block. He did not deserve that. I turned slowly. She looked different, not sad, not angry, just manic, scrambled, like someone who'd lost control of the script. "You see, I not just ghost me," she said, hands on her hips. "You think this is all so black and white?" "No," I said, "it's black, white, and recorded. I heard what you did, Jessica. I heard it. The fact that you were still trying to twist this into some kind of debate is insane." Her mouth opened, then closed. She stepped closer. "It was not serious," she said. "It was just a moment. I was bored. And I made a mistake. A moment." I laughed cold and sharp. "You had moments, plural, laughing about me while I was in the house, telling him how I make you feel nothing. You made a decision, multiple ones, and you did not regret a single one until you got caught." She started tearing up, like clockwork. "You do not know what it's been like," she whispered. "I felt invisible for months. You were always at work, always tired. I needed to feel wanted. I needed to feel like I was not just some forgotten wife who folds laundry and waits for scraps of attention." I looked at her. And for the first time, I did not feel anything. No anger, no sympathy, just emptiness. "I was tired yet," I said. "I was exhausted trying to carry a marriage that you were too busy undermining behind my back. I did not pull away, Jessica. You let go first." She sniffed, wiped her face with her sleeve. "I just did not think you'd leave." Of course, she did not. Because to her, I was a constant, a dependable backup, a fallback plan, someone who would always be there, even when she stopped deserving it. "I'm not coming back," I said. "You do not get to light the house on fire and then ask why it's cold when I leave." Her voice cracked. "So that's it? After everything we've been through, you're just done?" I stepped forward, calm, measured. "We did not go through this." "I did. You just watched. And now you're upset that I stopped performing." She did not say anything. Just stood there, her tears drying fast, her mouth twitching as if she still wanted the last word. But she did not have one. Not this time. I turned and walked back into the building, heard her slam the car door behind me, tires screeching a little too fast as she peeled off. Luke was in the kitchen when I got back up. "Was that her?" "Yeah," he just nodded. "You all right?" I did not answer right away. I stood there, hands still on the doorknob, feeling like the storm had passed but left everything in splinters. "I think so," I said. And for the first time, I almost believed it. I did not hear from her for nearly a week after that. No texts, no calls, no emails. Not even the guilt-laced ones she'd been spamming before. The silence made me uneasy. Like she was planning something. Jessica never just let things go. She was the kind of person who needed the last word, needed to twist the knife and then ask why you were bleeding. So yeah, the quiet felt loud. But I used that space. I found myself doing things I had not done in months, normal things, laundry that was not shared, cooking for one without feeling pathetic. Sitting with a cup of coffee and realizing it did not taste like resentment. Luke offered to keep the guest room open for as long as I needed. But honestly, I started looking at places within days. I needed out of limbo, not just physically, emotionally, mentally, everything. I could not live on someone else's couch pretending I was just taking a break from my own life. I scheduled a tour of an apartment downtown, nothing fancy, just mine. 1 bedroom, a little balcony, exposed brick, the kind of place that did not remind me of wedding photos or anniversaries she forgot, the kind of place she'd never been inside. And then, just like I expected, she came back. Not physically, not yet, but with precision, with intent, started with an email, subject line, for what it's worth. I should have deleted it. I did not. I read every word. And somehow it still surprised me. I've been thinking, maybe we were both wrong. Maybe we both gave up too soon. I know what I did hurt you. But I also know how cold and distant things had gotten. Maybe I should not have looked for comfort elsewhere. But you were not giving me anything to hold on to either. I was drowning. I did not want to cheat. It just happened. It just happened. Like betrayal is a traffic accident. Like it was a slippery floor and not a choice she climbed into and wrapped herself around. She continued, I think we owe it to ourselves to have one more conversation in person. Please. I did not respond. Not because I was afraid of what she'd say, but because I finally realized I did not care. There was nothing left to fight for. The version of Jessica I married, she was long gone. Maybe she never existed. Maybe I built her in my head brick by brick, red flag by red flag, and just kept telling myself I was lucky. But I did not block her either. I just watched. Over the next few days, she ramped it up. I started getting screenshots from mutual friends. Photos of her out at bars, suddenly single again. Laughing too loudly, posing too perfectly, tagging friends she had not talked to in years. She even posted a quote that made me want to put my fists through the wall. Sometimes people do not appreciate what they have until it's gone. Too bad by the time they realize it, you've already moved on. Was that supposed to be about me? The projection was Olympic level. It would have been hilarious if it was not so gutting. Then the real message came from her best friend, Natalie. We were not close, but we'd always been civil. Natalie and Jessica were like twins. Two-faced, charming when they wanted to be, ruthless when they did not. But Natalie had a soft spot for truth when she was tipsy or angry. Apparently, Jessica had crossed her one too many times. She DM'd me one night. No greeting, no fluff. Just, you deserve better. You were not crazy. She was seeing him for at least 3 months. The guy? His name is Travis. She told me he was just someone she hung out with. But I saw the texts. She was lying way before you found out. I stared at the screen. 3 months. So not just a slip. Not a heat of the moment. Oops. This was sustained. Planned. Covered up. And still, she had the audacity to call it just a mistake. That night, I sat on Luke's balcony with a beer in my hand and my feet propped up on the railing, just staring into the city. And something finally cracked, not from pain, not from sadness. From clarity. She lost me. Not because I walked out, but because she let go first. Because she chose cheap attention over loyalty. Because she fed off my devotion and then spat it out when it no longer entertained her. Because deep down, she did not want a partner, she wanted an audience. I finished the beer, closed my phone and opened a browser tab. I filed for divorce the next morning. Filing the divorce papers was strangely underwhelming. No fanfare, no dramatic thunderclap. Just a click. A digital signature. A confirmation email. I half expected the universe to react somehow, to shake, or at least pause for a second. But the world did not care. The clerk did not care. The legal site did not care. And honestly, that's what made it feel real. Something that took nearly a decade to build came undone in 15 minutes on a website optimized for speed and simplicity. And yet that simplicity, it felt clean. Like stepping out of a burning building and smelling something that was not smoke for the first time in months. Of course, Jessica did not take the news like that. I knew she'd find out fast paperwork like this leaves a trail, and I did not exactly hide it. The moment she got served, it started. First came the rage. She called 6 times in 1 hour, left voicemails that ranged from sobbing apologies to pure venom. You really going to ruin everything over one mistake? This is what you want? Fine. I hope you're not alone. Do you feel like a man now? I was lonely, Tyler. That's not a crime. It was like watching someone drown in a pool they jumped into on purpose. Then came the strategy. Her tone shifted. Calculated, desperate charm. Let us do counseling. I'm willing to work on it. We can fix this. I've been reading stuff about reconnecting. I bought a book. Please do not just throw it away. And then in the middle of all of it, she dropped her nuclear option. She sent a long message. No hello, no subject. Just Travis is out of the picture now, right? I told him it was a mistake. I ended it. For us. Does not that count for something? I read it 3 times. She did not end it because she was sorry. She ended it because she got caught. She ended it because I pulled the rug out from under her, and she had nowhere else to land. No backup. No audience. No more emotional safety net to lie on while she balanced between the life she pretended to live and the life she actually wanted. I did not reply. So she showed up. It was a Saturday. I was at the new apartment, boxes everywhere, walls still bare, the place echoing when I walked. I just finished putting together a bookshelf when the knock came. I opened the door and there she was. No makeup. Hoodie, eyes red. Her damage control costume. She stepped inside without waiting for permission. I did not stop her. I wanted to hear what she'd say when she thought she could control the room again. She stood in the middle of the apartment, spinning slowly, eyes scanning the space. This is where you're reliving now, she said, voice thin and flat. I nodded. Wow, she muttered. It's sad. I stared at her. You cheated on me in a house I bought. I said, you do not get to comment on where I live now. She rolled her eyes. Do not start with the martyr complex again, Tyler. I came here to talk. No, I said, you came here to negotiate. There's a difference. She paused, that landed. I made a mistake. She said, I know that. I messed up. But divorce, you really going to burn down our whole marriage over this? It was already ash, Jess. You just did not smell the smoke because you were too busy lighting new fires. Her jaw tightened. She took a step forward. Do you even miss me? I did not hesitate. No, I miss who I thought you were. That version of you. She's been dead a long time. She went quiet. I starting like she was scrambling for her next line. I can be better, she whispered. If you just give me a chance. Why now? I cut her off. Why only after I left? Why only after I filed? Why only when he was not an option anymore? Her silence said everything I already knew. Because I was never the first choice. I was the safe choice. The fallback, the sure bet. And when she risked it all and lost, she came crawling back to the foundation she'd already burned through, hoping I had not noticed the cracks. But I had every single one. She started to cry. Quiet tears this time. The kind that had once worked on me. But I did not move. Did not reach for her. Did not soften. You should go, I said. She sniffed, wiped her face with her sleeve, looked around the apartment again like it might suddenly change. And then with one last glance at me, she walked out. No apology. No goodbye. Just footsteps and a closing door. And the strangest thing? I did not feel broken. I felt light. There's a kind of silence that comes after a storm. Not peaceful, not gentle, but raw. Exposed. That was the silence I lived in for the next week. After she walked out of my apartment, the world did not go quiet in a soothing way. It just settled. Like the dust had not quite cleared, but at least the explosions were done. There were no more calls, no texts, no ambushes. She went radio silent. At first, I expected it to be a tactic. A pause in her strategy. Jessica never left anything unfinished, not relationships, not arguments, not even her own manipulations. She'd always circle back waiting for the right moment to twist the knife. But this time? Nothing. And I think that's when it truly hit me. She knew she lost. Not because I walked away. But because this time, she could not pull me back. That realization sat with me in strange ways. I started noticing the absence of tension in my shoulders. I slept longer than 3 hours for the first time in months. I played music while cleaning just because I felt like hearing something that was not her voice cutting into me. The smallest things made me stop and stare, pouring coffee without feeling anxious, folding laundry without thinking about whether she'd show up late again from work, deleting her contact without shaking. I was reclaiming my life inch by inch. And yet life does not give you clean exits. Not in the real world. Closure does not come in a monologue with perfect lighting. It comes through interruptions. Sudden, jarring reminders that even when you leave the fire, the smoke clings to you. I got a call from my mother. She had not known about the divorce yet. I had not told anyone outside of Luke. But somehow Jessica had beaten me to it. She called my mother, told her I was overreacting, that I'd abandoned her, that I was too emotionally distant to fix things. Classic Jessica, rewrite the narrative, paint herself as the victim, frame her betrayal as a response, not a choice. When my mom asked me if it was true, if I had really just left without a word, I took a long breath and said, "No, Mom. I stayed too long." I told her everything, not the graphic parts, not the call itself, but the truth, the affair, the disrespect, the way Jessica stood in our kitchen and smirked when I told her I knew. I told her about the smartwatch call, about the lies, the way Jessica looked me in the eye and blamed me for what she did. And my mom went quiet. "I never liked how she spoke to you," she finally said. "I just did not know it was that deep." It always is. After that call, I knew I had to start facing the rest of my life head on. No more standing in emotional purgatory. So I started digging through what was left: bank accounts, shared bills, storage units full of stuff neither of us needed, but both of us had fought to keep. I contacted a lawyer, finalized the filings, scheduled the official court date. She never contested anything. No alimony requests, no attempts to fight for property, no countersuits. That told me everything. She was already moving on, probably lining up her next version of me, someone fresh, someone blind, someone who had not learned the hard way what smiling teeth can hide. I started journaling. Not because I'm the self-help type, but because I had too many thoughts banging around in my head and nowhere to put them. Every night I'd write down one thing I did not miss about her. Some nights it was the lies. Others it was her silence. One night I wrote, "I do not miss the feeling of walking on eggshells in my own house." Another night, "I do not miss being made to feel like love is something I had to earn every single day, even after everything I gave." And slowly those entries became something else: reasons. Reasons why I would not go back. Reasons why I was going to be okay. I reconnected with people I had not seen in years. Had coffee with an old friend who told me bluntly, "Man, I always wondered how you put up with her for that long. You did not seem you anymore." He was right. I was not me. Jessica had a way of making the people around her orbit her needs, her moods, her spotlight. You could spend a lifetime trying to love her right, and still end up the villain in her next sub-story. And I was done being a character in hers. So when the email came from her 2 weeks later, I did not open it. I archived it because nothing she could say now matters. Not when I finally had the one thing I did not even know I needed until it arrived. Freedom.it was the little things that made me realize I truly started to move on. The first time I woke up without that immediate weight in my chest, the first grocery run where I did not instinctively reach for the creamer she liked the first weekend. I did not have to wonder if her late-night girls' night was just a lie. I was pretending not to recognize freedom. it turns out does not come with fanfare, creeps, and quietly breath by breath. Until one day you realize you have not thought about them in hours. And when you do is not with longing. It's with clarity, and that clarity too sharpens everything. The court date finally came, a Tuesday morning, cold, gray, and perfectly fitting. I showed up early alone, sat in the hallway outside the courtroom watching the door like it might swallow me whole. I was not nervous, just prepared, resigned, ready to end the chapter. Jessica showed up 10 minutes late. She walked in wearing that same polished, curated expression she always used when she needed the world to see her, as put together dark coat, neutral makeup, clean lines. Like this was not her reckoning, but a minor inconvenience on her way to brunch. Our eyes met. And she gave me a polite, faint smile like a stranger would. She sat on the opposite side of the bench, silent, not a word, not even a whisper, no apology, no final appeal, nothing. That was her message. I'm not sorry. And mine, just by showing up with my head high and my hand steady, was this: I'm not yours anymore. The hearing lasted 12 minutes. The judge asked questions we answered without looking at each other. Papers were reviewed, signatures verified. It was clean, clinical, cold. When the judge announced it was final, I did not feel a rush. I did not feel grief. I felt air in my lungs and my bones. For the first time in what felt like years, we stood. I grabbed my coat. Jessica reached out just briefly, touched my arm. I looked at her hand, then at her face. She whispered, "You really hate me, do not you?" I stared at her. "No," I said, "I just finally see you." She did not reply, just turned and walked out of the courtroom without another glance. And that was the end. No begging, no fury, no final act. Just two people who once said forever, now walking in opposite directions, holding nothing between them but dust. I took the rest of the day off, went to a bookstore, bought a new journal, got coffee from a place she hated, took the long way home, let the wind hit my face as I walked through a quiet park and watched the leaves skip across the path like they did not know anyone anything. That night I sat in my apartment, no TV, no music, just quiet. And for the first time in months, I opened my phone and deleted the last photo I had of her. One of those fake candid ones she always insisted I take. Sunset, sundress, wine glass in hand, gone, no hesitation, no ceremony, gone. I lay back on the couch, eyes closed, letting the silence settle over me. I did not miss her. I did not want her. But most importantly, I no longer felt the need to understand her. She was a storm that passed, a lesson that came with bruises. And me, I was finally standing in the sun again. It's been 3 months now, 3 months since I walked out of that courtroom and let the final door close behind me. Since I let her name turn into just a name, no longer tied to the word wife, or home, or future. People ask me sometimes how I'm doing. The truth: I'm better than I have any right to be. It's not that I'm magically healed, or that some perfect new love walked into my life and patched up the broken pieces. Now, the healing did not come from someone else, came from space, from quiet, from sitting alone with the truth long enough that it stopped echoing and started settling. I still catch memories off guard, a scent on someone's sweater that smells like her shampoo. The way a stranger at the grocery store says, "babe," over the phone, and I instinctively tune out. I still remember the tone of her voice in that recording. That calculated laugh, the sting of being unseen by someone who swore they loved me. But the weight's gone. It does not anchor me anymore. Now, it just reminds me what I'll never accept again. I started therapy, not because I was falling apart, but because I refused to build myself back wrong. I did not want bitterness hiding under my skin like rot beneath paint. I wanted to understand how I got here, how I let myself shrink in a relationship where love came with conditions, with performance, with cold stares and louder silences. The therapist said something in our second session that I still carry. It's not just that she betrayed you. It's that she made you betray yourself first, a little at a time, until you stopped recognizing your own reflection. And she was right. The real damage was not the affair. It was not the laughter or the man or the watch or the recording. It was the erosion. The way Jessica chipped away at who I was quietly, strategically, until I was apologizing for things I did not do, sacrificing needs she never intended to meet, and calling a compromise. But now I see it all clearly. I walk with my shoulders straight again. I laugh without checking if it bothers someone. I buy flowers for my own damn apartment just because I like the smell of fresh lilies. I cook food she would not eat. I read books she mocked. I listened to music she rolled her eyes at. And I do not miss her. I do not want her back. I do not even want her to know this version of me. Because she does not deserve him. He is the man she tried to break. The one who stayed faithful when she turned cold. The one who fought for something she was busy sabotaging. The one who stood in the wreckage and chose not to crawl back into it. That man? He is alive again. And if you're rereading this, sitting in a house that feels like a stranger next to a person whose words do not match their actions, wondering if you read the problem, listen to me. You re not crazy. You re not weak. You re just someone who loved too hard in a place that did not love you back. And when you leave, when you walk away from that toxic gravity, you do not fall apart. You rise. She taught me one thing, how to never let someone like her into my life again. That lesson cost me nearly everything. But I paid it. And now I'm free.